Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi. Zevachim Yud Aleph, we begin on Yud Amud Beis, 5 lines off the bottom. Tanan Hasam, so at the 2 dots, Tanan Hasam, we have a Mishnah as follows. Shahaya Rabbi Kiva Omer. Rabbi Kiva tells us like this. Kol damim shenichnusu lahechol lechaper. All karbanos, if their dam, if their blood, is entered into the heichal. Okay, so that's the interior area. Lechaper, with the intent of atoning with that dam, which means to say to use it as kapara, to apply it to the mizbeach. So the heichal is not where dam is meant to be brought. Typically, a karban's blood is meant to be applied on the external mizbeach hachitza. So if it's taken inside, where it doesn't belong, pis sulam, those karbanos now become pasul. According to Rabbi Kiva, this applies to all karbanos, whether it's a chatos. So actually, the pasuk, which discusses this halacha, refers to a chatos. However, Rabbi Kiva, based on a drasha, Rashi brings a drasha, vichal, all karbanos are covered by this stipulation. They disagree. It only applies to the chatas bilvad. As per the pasuk, the dam of the chatas brought inside becomes pasuk. Only the chatas. It's the chatas plus the asham as well. Asham. This is in line with Rabbi Lezer's shita, to equate the asham with the chatas. Shenema, as the pasuk says, kechatas ke'asham, like we had yesterday. There's a hekesh, a connection between chatas and asham. Whatever happens to the chatas happens to the asham. So 3 shitas. Rabbi Kiva says all karbanos are bound by this halacha. Chachamim hold only the chatas. Rabbi Lezer the asham as well. Bishlam Rabbi Lezer. I understand Rabbi Lezer's source based on this pasuk. El Rabbanan my time. We're going to Rabbanan. Why do they limit it to the chatas? What happened to the asham? Amar Rava. I'll tell you why the asham cannot be covered by this halacha. Asham nichnas damilif nim pasal, to suggest that the blood of the asham taken inside should be pasal. Leimatzas amrus, you can't say that because it's based on the oila. Take a look at the oila. Ma oila. Even the oila, which is fully burnt on the mizbeach, you would think it's the highest. Still, it's not bound by this halacha. Nichnas damalef nim kshera. If the dam of the oila is transported internally, it's kosher, despite its apparent strictness and stringency regarding kolel. Certainly, the asham which doesn't have that kolel factor, asham she'ena kolel, like koshke, wouldn't you assume that certainly it would not have this strictness? Well, perhaps you can't compare to the oila because it doesn't have kapara capacity. It's not brought to atone for a sin, as opposed to the asham, which is. And perhaps it would be possible if the dam is brought inside. Well, we could undo that argument by looking at the mincha of a sinner. It's machaper, and still, if it's brought inside, it's kosher. So the asham as well. Instead of going to the mincha, which is a different variety, why doesn't the Gemara seek to prove from the bird chatas, which is a blood variety type of carbon, and there we find that although it's mechaper, it's not bound by this halacha. It doesn't become possible if it's brought internally. Likewise, the asham. Well, says the Gemara, that's not so simple, because the truth is chatas so'if is baya de Rabbi Abin. Rabbi Abin had a question regarding the chatas so'if, his blood. So we don't want to get involved in that discussion. Bayad Rabbi Abani. But still, v'lifrich mala minchas choyte ken eina min zevach. So you're going to the minchas choyte to prove your point. Perhaps the reason why it doesn't become possible when brought inside is because it's not a type of zevach. It's not a carbon that's slaughtered. That's not a bird. It's not an animal. How could you compare the asham, which is an animal carbon, to the mincha? Oila techiach. Well, you can undo that concern by looking at the oila, which, as we said before, it's an animal carbon, and it's brought inside, it's not becoming a pasul. So now, we're going to be going back and forth because you can say the oila is different because it's kalil. And it's not mechaper. And maybe that's why it's not. Well, then you'll say, look at the minchas choyte, it is mechaper. Well, that's not really mizebach. So you can go back and forth without a resolution. Again, we're trying to figure out the status of the asham's dam who's brought inside. You can't prove from the oila. Oila is different. You can't prove from the, right? So we go back and forth. The fact that you find by the oila is not found by the minchas choyte. Likewise, in the reverse, the fact that you find by minchas choyte is not found by the oila. So what's the bottom line? What's the commonality between the two, between oila and the minchas choyte? Shein kachik kachim. They're both considered, the highest form of carbon, kachik kachim, the highest category. V'nichnas lefnim ksher, and even though they were brought inside the heichal, they stay kosher. Af ani avi yasham. Likewise, I can extend that to the yasham as well, which matches their criteria. Shu kodesh kadashim. It too is kodesh kadashim, and therefore v'nichnas dam lefnim kosher. Let's assume that if the dam is brought inside, it's also going to be kosher. Hence, the Rabbanan hold an asham doesn't have this halach. Amli Rava mebarnish l'Ravashi. How could you compare asham to those? V'lifrach, we can refute that comparison by saying, you know what's common to the oila and to the minchas choyte, which is not found by the asham. The Torah does not establish a set minimum value for those karbanos. It can cost whatever it is. As opposed to the carbon asham, which needs to be brought, has to cost at least 2 kesef shkalim. So perhaps because of that strictness, it has higher standards. Rather, the Rabbanan came from a different direction. The Makra, the pasuk, in discussing the blood of the chatas, says dama, v'chol chatas asher yuvami dama. Its dam, dama shel zu, only its dam has this halacha. V'lo dama shel achar, as opposed to the blood of a different carbon. V'idach, Rabbi Eliezer responds, well, the word dama is not coming to exclude other karbanis like the asham, but v'lo b'sar is coming to exclude the flesh of the chatas. The halacha only applies to the dam and not to the basar. V'idach dam dama. Rabbanan respond, well, yeah, it had to say dam to exclude the flesh, but dama, its dam, that's coming to exclude the asham. V'idach, and Rabbi Eliezer says, oh, dama, like Darish, he didn't dwell on this diuk. Once it needed to say dam, it already says midama from its blood. It's not coming to exclude anything else. The asham. So in summation, blood of a carbon brought into the heichal, what happens? We have 3 shittas. Rabbi Kiva says, whatever carbon it is, it becomes pasul. Chacham say it's limited to the chatas. Dama shel zu v'lo dama shel acher. Rabbi Eliezer says the asham as well. The pasuk compares kachatas ka asham. Whatever happens to the chatas happens to the asham. Now there's another pasuk pertaining to the mincha, and the pasuk connects the mincha to a chatas and to an asham. The pasuk says kodesh kadashim hi kechatas v'ka'asham. So in a way, the mincha is equated to a chatas regarding some aspects, and to an asham regarding others. Pertaining to what? So bishleim l'Rabbanan. So certainly according to the Rabbanan, I understand the pasuk. Chatas has one set of rules, the asham a different set of rules. Hence the comparison. Sometimes the mincha is like a chatas, sometimes like an asham, depending what type of mincha. Because they're dealing with 2 different tracks according to the Rabbanan. Bishleim l'Rabbanan, the Amri, according to them, who say asham sheshchata shloi l'shmai kasher, asham which was shechted shloi l'shmai is kasher. It's different than a chatas in that regard. Hainu de iskash mincha l'chatas, mincha l'asham. That explains the pasuk that equates a mincha sometimes to an asham, sometimes to a chatas, because there are different types of systems depending on what type of mincha it is. Sometimes compared to a chatas with its rules, sometimes to an asham with its own rules. The sani as we find in a brayso. Reb Shimon Omer. What does the pasuk mean that a mincha is kodesh kadashim hi kechatas? It's compared to the chatas, u'ka'asham, and also to the asham. It depends what type of mincha. If it's a donated mincha, then it's compared to the asham. if it's a mincha that a sinner brings to address his chet, compared to the chatas. Minchas choite, the mincha of a sinner, harike chatas, runs the same track as the chatas, in which case it has to be done lishma, otherwise it's possible. Therefore, if you did the kmitza shloi lishma on the mincha, psula, it's disqualified like the chatas, because it's similar in nature to the chatas. It's coming to atone for a sin. On the other hand, minchas nadava, a donated mincha, harika asham, it's treated like an asham, and therefore lefichach kamtza shloi lishma ksheira, if you did the kmitza without the proper intention, right? It's kosher. So that's according to the Rabbanan. El Rabbi Lezer. However, according to Rabbi Lezer, who says that an asham shalei lishma is possible, just like the chatas. So then, what's the point of comparing the mincha to the asham and to the chatas, as though it's two separate, systems? It's one and the same system. L'may hilchasa. With respect to what? Halacha. Iskash mincha lachatas. Mincha l'asham. The Torah compare mincha sometimes to the chatas, sometimes to the asham. The answer is like this. L'chi'idah to Reb Shimon. It's coming to address a different halacha that Reb Shimon himself presents. That in fact, a mincha can be processed two different ways. In some ways, comparable to the chatas. In other ways, comparable to the asham. You have both options available. It's not. Shalei b'lisharis. So the kohen approached the mincha, scooped out the kmitza, but failed to put the scoop into a holy vessel. He took it directly, manually to the mizbeach. Psula, mincha's possible. A klisharis is required. Just like by an animal carbon. You need shchita. Shchita is like the kmitza, because it separates the part that's going to be put on the mizbeach, the blood from the carbon, hair, the scoop from the rest of the mincha, right? So the two things correspond. Next thing is Kabbalah. Kabbalah's hadam in the kli. Same thing with the kmitza. You have to put it into the kli to be mekadosh the kmitza. Next is haylacha, transporting it to the mizbeach and then offering it on the mizbeach. So the 4 steps by the animal is corresponded by the 4 steps of the mincha. Second of which is putting the kmitza in the kli sharas. So without that, it's possible. Reb Shimon says it's okay, machshir. How do we know? Why? My time in the Reb Shimon. Why is that so? That the kohen manually transports the mincha to the mizbeach, it's okay. Amar Kra, based on this very pasuk. A mincha is kodesh kolashim hi, holiest of holy, kechatas v'kasham, indicating that we have 2 separate systems that we can follow, 2 options. He can choose to do it manually, like the chatas sometimes. The chatas sometimes is done manually, right? Rashi explains the application of the dam on the mizbeach is done manually. The kohen dips his finger in and puts it directly on the corner of the mizbeach. That's unique to a chatas. So that type of method can be applied to a mincha as well if he chooses to do so. Right? If he chooses to do it manually by the mincha, make sure you do it with your right hand like the chatas. And it's okay, despite the lack of klisharis, because he's following the chatas track. The pasuk compares the mincha to the chatas in some way. So you can choose that option. On the other hand, if he chooses to use a kli, puts the kmitza in a kli, transports it like that, that's okay too. Then he can even use his left hand to transport the kli, just like by the asham, where you can transport with your left hand. The zrika with your left as well, right? You can. Rashi brings the Gemara later. Okay, in any case, the comparison to chatas v'asham pertains to providing both options, with kli or manually. Okay, so that answers our question. Unrelated to the shloi lishma issue, it's a whole separate, a new idea. So again, when the pasuk compares a mincha to a chatas v'asham, it's going to Rabbi Lezer regarding shloi lishma. If it's a minchas choite, better do it properly like a chatas, which shloi lishma is possible. If it's a minchas nadava, you can do it like an asham. Sorry, that's Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, if you choose to do it, if it's a minchas choite, you have to do it like the chatas. Shloi lishma is possible. If it's a donated mincha, you can do it like the asham, which shloi lishma is kosher. According to Rabbi Lezer, asham shloi lishma is possible as well. You can't learn the pasuk this way. Rather, it's learned relating the two options of how to process it manually or with a kli. Now, interestingly, both interpretations, the most recent one regarding manual versus kli, and the former one regarding shlei lishma and lishma, were both Reb Shimon. Two different interpretations on the same pasuk. Reb Shimon. So according to Reb Shimon Haikra, this very same pasuk can be interpreted two ways. Mapikle lahachi. Mapikle lahachi is using it for this and for that at the same time. How does that work? The answer is truthfully, the pasuk is primarily teaching the most recent halacha, manual versus kli. That's the primary lesson in the pasuk. And the reason why a minchas choyte is possible if it's shalei lishma, it's not based on this pasuk. It's perhaps hinted in the pasuk, but it's primarily sourced in a different place. Tama achrinahu, it's based on a different source, which is chatos tama mai. Why is shalei lishma detrimental to a chatos? The chsibah he. The pasuk says he, gotta do it right. Likewise, minchas choyte, nami, there as well. Chsibah he has the word he. The shalei lishma is critical. Okay, so that settles that. One more question. You see, Rabbi Lezer compared the asham to the chatas based on the hekesh, kechatas v'ka'asham. It runs along the same track. Shalei lishma is pasul. If the dam is brought in the hechel, it's pasul compared to the chatas. According to the Rabbanan, who don't compare the asham to the chatas. So why the hekesh? Why did the Torah seem to connect them in the pasuk kechatas v'ka'asham? Well, the Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan's opinion, the asham stands alone, separate from the chatas. So why did the Torah connect asham to the chatas in that pasuk? To tell you that in one respect, the asham does learn from the chatas. To tell you, ma chatas tuna smicha, just like smicha, leaning on the animal, is a requirement by the chatas. Af asham ton smicha, likewise, it's done to the asham. So generally, a carbon shlei lishma is kosher. The owner doesn't get credited for it, right? But it's kosher. We have exceptions to the rule, Pesach and Chatas. So Pesach in its time, Erev Pesach, in the afternoon, Shlei Lishma is critical. Likewise, Chatas throughout the year. Shlei Lishma makes it possible. Yosef ben Choni adds another point. Just like a Pesach and Chatas is non-transferable, likewise, if you take another carbon, a shlamim, let's say, it's Erev Pesach. He takes a shlam, has in mind Pesach, it's possible. Or shlamim throughout the year, he has in mind Chatas, it's possible. So these sort of labels are non-transferable both ways. You take a Chatas and Pesach and mislabel it, it's possible. You take another carbon and relabel it as a Chatas or a Pesach, it's possible as well. This sheet of Yosef ben Choni and also the sheet of Rabbi Lezer, they're both on the same track. Any sort of transfer regarding Pesach and Chatas both ways is possible. Rabbi Amari says, I agree to a certain extent, but I'll disagree on one account. Sure, that's Yosef ben Choni's opinion, but regarding Rabbi Lezer, I'll prove from the upcoming brisa that he agrees somewhat. So by a Pesach, it goes both ways. Pesach Shlei Lishma is possible, and another carbon on Erev Pesach, L'Shem Pesach is possible as well. But regarding Chatas, the Chatas Shlei Lishma is possible, but another carbon L'Shem Chatas is not necessarily, that's not going to be possible. Regarding another carbon, Rav Amar Ba'acherim L'Shem Chatas Pligi, another carbon that was done for the sake of Chatas, according to Yosef ben Choni, it's possible. According to Blazer, in this case, it's kosher. So, Rabbi Yochanan holds that according to Yosef ben Choni and Rabbi Lezer, any transfer in either direction is possible, i.e., another carbon l'shem chatas is possible, another carbon l'shem pesach on Erev Pesach is possible as well, according to Rabbah, another carbon l'shem pesach is possible, according to Rabbi Lezer, another carbon l'shem chatas, according to Rabbi Lezer, is not possible. And this is based on the following brisa, where in part A of the brisa, it would seem like Rabbi Lezer applies this to Pesach and Chatas equally. So another carbon l'shem Chatas is possible. Part B of the Brisa, he seems to say otherwise. Another carbon l'shem Pesach is possible, but another carbon l'shem Chatas is not. And that's where they're coming from. Rabbi Yechon is going to focus on the first part of the Brisa, and Rabbah on the second part. The Snan Yasani, we have a Brisa. Pesach she'avra shnas. Carbon Pesach is only suitable the first year. If it's past his first, birthday. At this point, it's no longer functioning as a Korban Pesach. It gets sort of converted into a shlamim, right? A leftover Pesach is a din of a shlamim. So technically it's a shlamim. Ushchata bizman l'shmoy, and it's in its time, it's Erev Pesach, and he did it l'shem Pesach. That's one example. V'chein hashechet acher l'shem Pesach bizmani. Or another carbon. It's Erev Pesach, and he has in mind Korban Pesach. Rabbi Lezer says, it's no good, Pesach. As we said before, another carbon l'shem Pesach is possible. Rabbi Shua Machshir, he disagrees with this whole thing. He says, others l'shem Pesach, others l'shem Chatas, doesn't make it possible. And Rabbi Shua will seek to prove his position. Rabbi Shua. It's a kal v'chomer, it's based on logic. Im b'shar yimos hashana. Take a look at the Korban Pesach throughout the year. She'eni kosher l'shmoy, you cannot shech the Korban Pesach for the sake of Pesach. It's possible, right? If it's not in its right time. Still, acherim ksherim l'shmoy. If you take another carbon and do it for the sake of Pesach, since it's not in the time of Pesach, certainly all agree. No harm was done. So of course, bismani you should kosher l'shmoy. Imagine the Korban Pesach in its time, which is kosher for the sake of Pesach, right? So it's one up, has an advantage now. Wouldn't you agree with me? That others as well, if done l'shem Pesach are kosher, how could you say otherwise? Amar B'lezer. So B'lezer responds, based on your logic, you can twist it around and generate an incorrect halacha. If you follow this logic, look, or perhaps let's switch things around as follows. Take the same factors and rearrange them. And you'll come up with an erroneous halacha, which is untrue. Take a look at the Korban Pesach throughout the rest of the year. You can't shecht it for Pesach. So although it has that disadvantage, so to speak, kosher hu l'shem acherim. But at that point, if you have another carbon in mind, you shecht it for a shlamim, it's kosher. Certainly, bizmanai, the Pesach in its time, shu kosher l'shmai, which is kosher if it's done for the sake of Pesach, of course. Wouldn't you agree with me? Since it has that advantage at that juncture, certainly if you have something else in mind, you take the Pesach l'shem shlamim would be kosher. So you mean to say yuchshar Pesach b'asar shlo l'shmai, that a Pesach in its time on the 14th day of Nisan would be kosher shlo l'shmai? Of course that's incorrect. Is that what you're going to tell me? Of course not. So apparently this whole kal v'chomer is not really going to work. Furthermore, let me respond to your kal v'chomer, where you were attempting to support your position that another carbon l'shem Pesach is kosher. Mali huchshur acherim b'shar yimasashan l'shmoy. Just because other karbanas, if shechted for the sake of Pesach throughout the year, is kosher. You know why? Shekein hu kosher l'shem acherim, because the Pesach itself throughout the year, if it's done for the sake of another carbon, is kosher as well. So that explains why it works. But how could you compare to Pesach in its time? How could you suggest that another carbon done l'shem Pesach in the Pesach time frame, this is Pesach zone, will also be kosher? Shekein hu pasul l'shem acherim, because in that time it's strictly Pesach zone, Pesach territory. In fact, if you take the Pesach on the right time and do l'shem something else, it's possible. So you can't compare Pesach territory, Erev Pesach afternoon, where it's Pesach time, to throughout the year. Even I agree that throughout the year no harm is done, but on Erev Pesach, when it's Pesach time, if you have the Pesach in mind, and you're having a shlamim here, shlamim l'shem Pesach is possible. Amalei Rishon responds to Rabbi Lezer, according to you, it's going to generate a very interesting halacha. It's going to result in something very unusual. Imkain, if that's true. that a shlamim l'shem Pesach on Erev Pesach is possible. Hayrato koyach Pesach. You've weakened, in a sense, the halacha of the Pesach and strengthened, reinforced the shlamim. You see, typically, Pesach is stronger than a shlamim, is more strict and severe, has higher standards than a shlamim. A shlamim shloi l'shmai typically is kosher. A Pesach shloi l'shmai is possible. But here you're coming out and telling me just the opposite. Throughout the year, where it's shlamim territory, right? You take a Pesach throughout the year, you have a mind, shlamim, it's okay. Right? So Pesach, Shloi L'shmai, in that case is okay. Comes Erev Pesach, where it's Pesach territory. You're telling me a shlamim l'shem Pesach is puzzle, so now a shlamim Shloi L'shmai is puzzle? More strict than a Pesach Shloi L'shmai throughout the year? That's a little strange sounding, says Rabbi Shua. Okay, so in any case, Rabbi Lezer came back and offered another rationale for his position. That a shlamim on Erev Pesach, l'shem Pesach is puzzle. Chazar Rabbi Lezer came back and presented another formula. He says, look, we find that a shlamim that a Pesach in a way can sort of develop into a shlamim. Leftover Pesach, what happens? Becomes a shlamim. But not the other way around. Shlamim never evolves into a Pesach, right? Leftover shlamim doesn't turn into a Pesach. So we see that a Pesach sort of sometimes leads into a shlamim. And now listen to this kal v'chayim. Uma Pesach shemasar b'shlamim, even a korban Pesach, who can evolve into a shlamim. Still, shechata bezman l'shum shlamim pasal. If you did the Pesach l'shem shlamim on the time of Pesach, it's pasal. Despite their close relationship, despite that a Pesach can sometimes evolve into a shlamim. Nevertheless, a real Pesach on Erev Pesach l'shem shlamim is pasal. It's called diversion. It's called mislabeling. Wouldn't you agree that certainly a shlamim she'ein mo'isarn b'Pesach, you never turn a shlamim into a Pesach? Of course, im shchatam l'shem Pesach bezmanai. The shlamim on the time of Pesach. If you had in mind Pesach, of course, ein adin shi'u p'sulim, certainly wouldn't you agree that it's possible? Amar Rishon responds. If you're working with this type of formula, I have another similar scenario to suggest and to compare. Amar Rishon, Matzinu, we find moiser chatas ba'oila, likewise a leftover chatas. Suppose he knew that he did a double chatas just in case one gets lost, and now it's left over. What do? Moiser chatas ba'oila. Halacha is you turn it into an oila, you let it pasture and get a blemish, you sell it, and you buy an oila as a gift for the mizbeach. So in a sense, a chatas turns into an oila. Vein moiser oila ba'chatas, but not the other way around. The oila never turns into a chatas. So this is strikingly similar to the Pesach Shlamim relationship. It's a one-way relationship. And now, let us present a kal v'chomer. Just like you're presenting there, I'll do the same thing here. And the end result of this kal v'chomer will not be correct. Even a chatas who can turn into an oila, still shechata l'shem oila. If you have a mind in oila, why are you doing the chatas? Of course, it's psula. There's no question about that. Oila she'ein masar b'chatas. Certainly the oila which can never turn into a chatas. Shechata l'shem chatas. So if you took the oila and you had in mind the chatas, ein adin, based on this logic, wouldn't you agree shtei psula becomes pasul? And the fact that Rabbi Lezer did not respond seems like he is in agreement that if you take another korban l'shem chatas, it's not going to be pasul. So this was, by the way, Rabba's indication that in fact, even according to Rabbi Lezer, only a korban l'shem Pesach becomes pasul, but not a korban l'shem chatas. Whereas Rabbi Yechon, who said that according to Rabbi Lezer, even a korban l'shem chatas is pasul, that was based on the earlier part of their discussion, where Rabbi Lezer presented that just like the Pesach, and likewise the chatas, diverted into another korban becomes pasul, likewise others for their sake. And that applies to both Pesach and chatas. Okay, so this is where they both got their varying, understandings of Rabbi Lezer's sheet. Okay, back to Rabbi Shua, who presented to Rabbi Lezer, and that based on this type of analogy, another korban l'shem chatas would be possible. Amar Rabbi Lezer says no, can't compare the two. Lo yim amras b'chatas. A chatas is different than a Pesach. You see, a chatas you can bring anytime throughout the year if done properly. So it's a broader type of carbon. It's not so limiting. So therefore, you can understand that another carbon l'shem chatas is also okay. Talmud Pesach is supposed to carbon Pesach, which is much more limited. Has a very narrow, window of opportunity, very narrow time frame. Erev Pesach, and that's it. She'ein kasher l'shmai ela bizmani. The only time a Pesach is kasher l'shmai is only in its right time. So since to start off, it's just a very limited, restricted type of proposition. So since the carbon Pesach, even if done l'shem Pesach, would be possible if it's throughout the year, dinu she'yivslu acher l'shmoi. Likewise, if others are done l'shem Pesach, in the time of Pesach, it's possible as well. Okay, so in any case, the conclusion is that according to Rabbi Lezer, another carbon l'shem Pesach is possible. Of course, we're speaking during the Zman of Pesach. Regarding another carbon l'shem chatos, so we had indications both ways. According to the first part of their discussion, it seems like it's possible. According to this part, it's not. We have yet another shita regarding diversions and mislabeling of the karbanis. Shimon achi Azariah Omer. So Shimon, the brother of Azariah, who was a wealthy brother, who undertook to support him, and therefore got credit for Shimon's Torah, as Rashi said in the Mishnah back in that base. He presents a little differently. It depends which way you're going. Which direction? Are you going up or down? So, if you have a shlamim, and you relabeled it as something higher than it, you upgraded it, that's okay. If you went down, you downgraded it to a carbon which is on a lower level, then it's possible. What is the source for that? Rav Ashi Masni presented Mishmei the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Achabrei the Rav, he presented Masni Mishmei the name of Rabbi Yanai. My time the Shimon Achi Azari. Where is the source for this formula? Yerima means to lift, to upgrade. If you upgrade, you haven't caused any harm. If you took the carbon higher, if you had in mind something on a higher level, it doesn't impact the carbon, it doesn't disqualify it. However, if you go down, downgraded mischalin, then it becomes pasuk. Asks the Gemara, but this pasuk has been used for something else, to tell you that grain, which is tevel, from which the truma hasn't yet been separated, is asur, right? By halacha, the asur is coming for this halacha. This pasuk is needed to Shmuel. Shmuel teaches, how do we know that a person eats tevel is liable to death? Because tevel has potential truma within it. Don't eat something which is potentially kodesh, which has the kodesh embedded in it, which has the truma, the unseparated truma within it. Pasuk speaking about something which is going to be separated. Tevel, which is as yet a mix between, which has in it unseparated truma. It's coming for that, not for the halacha of the upgrade or downgrade by the karbanis. Imkain, if it's only coming for our case, the pasuk would say asher hurmu, which was elevated. If it was elevated, then the carbon is still okay. Why does the pasuk use the lashon asher yarimu? It's going to be done in the future. That's alluding to the other halacha as well, to the tevel, where in the future it's going to be separated. Shmam notati, we can learn both halachas from the same pasuk. Boy, Reb Zera, I have a question on this opinion. Upgrade is kosher, downgrade is possible. Now, we may recall that according to Tanakama, the prevailing opinion in the Mishnah, any sort of mislabeling, any sort of diversion, the carbon is still kosher for the most part, except for the chatzos of Pesach, but typically it's kosher. But it's not a complete carbon, it's not meratze. The owner has to bring another one. It hasn't really, addressed the owner. He's not credited for it, right? And that's a general formula. Whether you went up or went down, the carbon is kosher, but it's not meratze. Now, according to this sheet of Shimon ben Achi Azariah, who says that if it's upgraded, it's kosher. Does it mean completely kosher? No need to bring another one? So in a sense, he's disagreeing with the Tanakama. And likewise, when he says a downgrade disqualifies, he means completely disqualified? Completely puzzle? So, in a way, he's sort of disagreeing on two accounts. with the Tanakama, who says in all cases, up or down, it's kosher but not maratza. He says, no, up is completely kosher and down is completely pasul. Is that what he means? Or, when he said upgrade is kosher, he meant kosher, but it's not maratza. Like the Tanakama. By downgrade, he says it's pasul completely. So there's only one disagreement. Which way is it? By Reb Zera, ksher and ve'meratzen. What does he mean? Upgrade is kosher but not maratza. Like the Tanakama, v'chi palag, b'chada palag. And there's only one point of disagreement. He holds that if you downgrade, it's completely pasul. So he's machmer. Or ksher umaratzen. He meant upgrade is completely kosher. Kosher Tanakama says that it's not maratza. He says it is maratza. And likewise, he says downgrade is completely pasul. Ubitarti pligin. There are 2 points of disagreement. Amar Abaye says v'tem, and some say Rabbi Zrika. Tashmal proved to you that when he said upgrade is kosher, he meant it's kosher, but not maratza. Tashma, abchor v'amaser. The Mishnah cites some examples of upgrades and downgrades. Basically, we have 3 categories. The top is kachim kachim, like asham, like chatas. Below that, we have kachim kalim, shlamim, bchor, maser. But within kachim kalim itself, we have 2 categories. Shlamim is higher than bchor and maser, as we're going to see. So if he goes up, it's kosher. If it goes down, it's pasul. And examples of which are presented in the Mishnah. B'choyer v'hamaser, which occupy the lowest rung, so to speak. Sheshchatan l'shem kachim l'shem shlamim. He had in mind the shlamim, which is a slight upgrade. Ksher. They're okay. On the other end, shlamim sheshchatan l'shem b'choyer l'shem maser psula. Shlamim, which was downgraded to the b'choyer v'maser, are pasul. Now, when we say that a b'choyer l'shem shlamim is okay, what does that mean? There's no chiv to bring a b'chor. There's no concept of ritzui. There's no atonement. There's no obligation. There's no crediting the owner. Now, if you learn that by the upgrades, it's completely kosher and maratza, that certainly cannot pertain to the b'chor, which is the example that he cited for this upgrade halacha. A b'chor korban bar ritzuyu? Is he capable of doing ritzui? Of course not. There's no chiv to bring a b'chor. It's not a personal obligation. It's not a personal vow, personal commitment, or elok ksher and ve'meratzen. So clearly, when the b'chor is upgraded to a shlamim, and we say it's kosher, it means that the korban is kosher, but there's no ritzui. Apparently, that's the definition of the word kosher according to the shita. Umadas seifa ksher and ve'meratzen. And since in the second set of cases that we just cited, where the b'chor was upgraded to the shlamim, where the word kosher was used, it means ksher and ve'meratzen. It's only a limited korban. Reisha namik ksher and ve'meratzen. Apparently, assumingly, the first set of cases in the Mishnah, where it was kachim kalim, which was upgraded to kachim kachim, and the Mishnah calls it ksherin, it also means in limited form they're ksherin but not ve'meratzen. That's all he meant. He didn't mean that's completely kosher. No, says the Gemara. Why are we comparing the 2 sets of cases? Midi area, how can you prove from one to the next? Hakadisa, vakadisa. Sometimes the same word can mean different things in different contexts. In the first set of cases, kachim kalim, l'shem kachim kachim, where we say it's ksher, perhaps completely kosher. Vakadisa. Conversely, when the Mishnah speaks about b'chor upgraded to shlamim, since there's no ritzur by b'chor, so in that context, kosher just means kosher. So, in theory, conceptually, perhaps Shimon Achi Azariah holds that if ritzur is part of the equation, perhaps it could work. If it's upgraded, it's completely kosher. Ask the Gemara, so if the Mishnah wasn't trying to highlight this point, that kosher just means kosher, not maratza, and that would be the reason why it would present these detailed cases, specifically b'chor, which doesn't have ritzui, to point out that kosher means without ritzui. If that wasn't the purpose of the Mishnah, rather it's like what you're saying, that kosher means completely, so what's the point of the Mishnah? Why does the Mishnah have to give us cases of b'chor v'maser upgraded to shlamim, if not to teach us this point, that it's limited? Oh, Perhaps the Mishnah was just simply trying to teach us, examples, scenarios of going up and going down. It already did that without mentioning Bechora Maser for the sake of Shlamim. Tanina. Go back to the previous case. The Mishnah talks about Ketzat. What's the example of going up and down? Kachim kachim sheshachtan l'shem kachim kalam. Then it's possible. Kachim kalam l'shem kachim kachim, which is an upgrade, is kosher. Why get involved in Bechora Maser and that went up to kachim kalam? What's the point of adding that case? Well, there is a point, says the Gemara. There is a point. Ma'odatem, perhaps I would say that switching, upgrading and downgrading between kachim kachim and kachim kalam, that's an upgrade or a downgrade. But within kachim kalam itself, who's to say you can splice that category into two levels? Who's to say that within kachim kalam you have shlamim, you have bechora maser as two separate sub levels? Who says that that's correct? That's the point of the Mishnah, to highlight that point. Well, perhaps I would think kachim kachim, which is one category, the kachim kalam, which is another distinct category. So between those two levels, you have upgrades and downgrades. Aval kalam v'kalam, but within kachim kalam itself, who says to subdivide into two levels? Loi. And that's why the Mishnah presents the cases of the bechora maser, vis-a-vis the shlamim. Even within kachim kalam itself, you have upgrades and downgrades. Honami tanina. Well, that point has also been discussed elsewhere. That a shlamim stands higher than a bechor. In fact, if you have a choice, you have a shlamim before you, and you have a bechor. Which one goes first? Shlamim kohen or bechor? The kohen will attend to the shlamim before the bechor because it's considered on a higher level. There are many components that the shlamim has that the bechor doesn't have. You place the blood on the four, sides of the mizbeach. Smicha, you lean on the bechor. The sachim, the oils of the thing. You wave the parts of the animal. These things the bechor doesn't have. So clearly, the shlamim stands higher. Says the Maha'ikar. Our Mishnah is where the Tana sought to present this distinction. Initially, this is the main place. That in fact the shlamim is holier than a bechor. Hahi agror naspa. The point of mentioning it over there later on is just sort of by the way, upon discussing other things, other listings of karbanos and priorities. So we discussed the shlamim versus the bechor as well. But the main, primary, location for this lesson is our Mishnah on that base. So we haven't really concluded on our question. We haven't really proven what Shimon Achiazari meant when he said that an upgrade is kosher. Is it kosher completely? Or just kosher but not maratza? But certainly when he said a downgrade is possible, he meant that's possible completely. And in that sense, he's certainly in disagreement with Tanakam, who says that all karbanis, except for Chatzos and Pesach, are kosher but not maratza, when done shalei lishmai. Okay, so before we proceed to the next Mishnah, a karban shalei lishmai, what happens? We have several shittas. Tanakama holds it's always going to be kosher, but not maratza. We're not going to count for its owner. He has to bring another one. Two exceptions are Pesach and Chatas, which are totally possible. Rabbi Lezer adds the Asham as well. We had a shita of Yosef ben Choinin. Others, L'Shem Pesach and L'Shem Chatas, are possible as well. All depends on which direction you're going. Upgrade is kosher, downgrade is possible. Continues the Mishnah. Speaking about the Pesach, so a Pesach sheshchata is shachris. A Pesach in its time, meaning on Yudal ben Nisan, or Pesach in the afternoon, needs to be done l'shmai. Shalei l'shmai is possible. But if it's, let's say, a day before, the Pesach hasn't yet been activated. So we learned earlier, at that point it's still like a shlamim. Shlamim, shalei l'shmai is kosher. So those two scenarios are pretty clear. What about, interesting case, what about Erev Pesach in the morning? And he does the Pesach shalei l'shmai. Are we safe? Is it still, out of its time? Shlamim shalei l'shmai is kosher. Or shall we say, well, it's already day off. Close enough. Within striking range. It's called Pesach in its right time. and Shalei Lishma is critical. So which way would you look at it? Machlekes. Pesach sheshchata shachris. He shechted the Korban Pesach in the morning of Erev Pesach, but he did Shalei Lishma. Rabbi Shua Machshir says it's okay. Because at this point it's not yet a Korban Pesach, it's a Shlomim. Ki'ilu nishchat b'shleish asa. It's as though he did it yesterday, out of its time. Shlomim is kosher. But Meseira Pais. According to Meseira, it's possible. Ki'ilu nishchat ben arba'im. It's as though it was the afternoon. It's considered the Zman of Pesach, and a Pesach Shalei Lishma is possible. Okay, the Gemara explained, the basis of their opinions. But before we get to that, just another point regarding the general halacha of Shalei Lishma. Amar Shimon ben Asai. Listen to this halacha. A Korban Shalei Lishma is kosher except for Pesach and Chatas. Some say Asham. Here comes Shimon ben Azai and adds another one to the list. Another exception. An oila. If you took an oila and did a Shalei Lishma, it's possible. Mekubal, I have a Kabbalah. I learned from all 72 elders and scholars who were sitting in the Sanhedrin and the Yeshiva, B'yoyim she'yeshivu es Shabelezer ben Azari ben Yeshiva. This halacha was presented on that very day that Rabbi Lezer ben Azari was appointed as the head of the Yeshiva. What was the halacha? That just like Pesach and Chatas, Shalei Lishma apostle, Oila as well. Shekol Zevachim hane'echolim. All karbanos which are consumed, not the oila, all other karbanos. Yeah, Shalei Lishma ksher, Shalei Lishma over there is not critical. Ela Shalei Oila b'al Shem Chayva, it's kosher but it doesn't count for the owner. We have two exceptions, Chutz ben Pesach and Chatas. But there's another one too, an oila, which is not ne'echolim, it's fully consumed. That requires the Shema, otherwise it's possible. Ben Azai, Ela oila, and in effect Ben Azai, Shimon ben Azai only added oila to the list of exceptions. However, Chacham did not agree with him. The exception list is limited to Chatas and Pesach. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the Mishnah. Pesach, Erev Pesach in the morning. Shalei Lishma. Rabbi Shua says kosher. Shalei Bizmani is a shlamim. Shlamim is kosher. Shalei Lishma. Ben Meseira says it's possible. Amar Belezer, Amar B'Yish. Let me explain to you Ben Meseira's position. Because Machshir Hoya Ben Meseira, the Pesach, Sheshchote Shachars, Abar Ba'asar, Lishmai. According to Ben Meseira, a legitimate Korban Pesach, Shechted Erev Pesach in the morning. You don't have to wait till the afternoon. He says it's fine. It's called the Zman of Pesach. The Kula Yom Azimnihu. The time of Korban Pesach encompasses the whole day, the entire day is Pesach territory. And that explains his opinion in the Mishnah. Umaykilu. So why did Meseira say it's as though it was afternoon? Forget about as though afternoon. Currently in the morning, it's already the Zman. You're right. He was simply, citing some similar language to Rabbi Yeshua. I did. Rabbi Yeshua ki'ilu. On account of Rabbi Yeshua using the word ki'ilu, it's as if it's yesterday, and that's why it's a kashlomim, it's out of its time, right? He was promoting that opinion. That's why Meseira also used the word ki'ilu, but in fact, he didn't have to say ki'ilu. He could have just said, Erev Pesach in the morning, it's the time of Pesach. Shalei Lishma is kosher, Shalei Lishma is possible. If that's so why did the Mishnah have to speak about the Pesach, Shalei Lishma, to bring out these opinions? Speak straightforward. A Pesach Lishma, Erev Pesach in the morning, what happens? According to Meseira, it's kosher, because it's the right time. Why can't we just cite a very straightforward, simple case to bring out his opinion? If that's so, instead of discussing a Pesach which was done Shalei Lishma, it's a problematic case. Let them discuss a legitimate Korban Pesach done Lishma. What happens? So according to Rabbi Yeshua, it would be possible because it's still premature. It's early in the morning. According to Meseira, it's kosher. It's the right time. Answers the Gemara. If Lishma, had they discussed Lishma, so yeah, I would know that, but I wouldn't know the halacha by Shalei Lishma. I would think. By Lishma we have this machlokes, but Meseira says it's okay. Rabbi Yeshua says it's not okay. But suppose he takes this very same Korban Pesach. Yudal Nisan in the morning, and does the Shalei Lishma. So according to Ben Meseira, it's a diversion. It's possible. According to Rabbi Yeshua, we're not so sure what he would hold. Perhaps Aval B'Shalei Shmai, in this case, Rabbi Yeshua would agree to Rabbi Meseira that the carbon is possible. Although it's still early in the day, although it's still not technically the Zman, so you would think it's a Shlam, and Shlam Shalei Shmai is okay. No, perhaps not. Perhaps it's going to be strict on this. Since part of the day will be suitable for Korban Pesach, it's close enough, it's the same day, within striking range, that perhaps you have to already consider the morning as Manai, and the Korban Pesach Bizmani Shalei Shmai is possible. That's what I would think. Kamashwan, that's why the Mishnah has to highlight even this type of case, where it's already morning, striking range. Rabbi Yeshua says, no, it's not yet. It's still early. Shalei Bizmanoi, still Shlamim, in which case Shalei Shmai is Kasha. Kamashwan. And the question is, how could you say that according to Meseira, the time of Pesach starts from the morning? Look, the Pasuk says in the afternoon, Bein Arbaim, between the two dusks. Rashi explains, midday is when it starts getting a bit dark, the shadows start generating, and complete and full dusk is at night. Bein Arbaim, in the afternoon. Look, Bein Arbaim. Ama'ulu Bein Arbaim. Bein Shnei Arafim. Bein Arbaim, according to this, will mean between two dusks, two darknesses. Between last night's darkness, meaning this morning, from this morning until tonight, throughout the whole day. Asks the Gemara, but you know what? This term, Bein Arbaim, is not mentioned only by Pesach. We find it by Talmud, we find it by the Keteris, find it by the Benoira. How do you reconcile it with those cases? By the Korban Talmud Chsibe, it says also Bein Arbaim. Right? We say in the morning, one sheep in the morning, you're going to tell me there too, the Kula Yom Kosher? You could bring the second sheep anytime throughout the day. Bein Arbaim? No, says the Gemara. No, Hasam Dechsiv over there, since it says the one is done in the morning. Apparently, the other one is in the afternoon. Mechlal the Bein Arbaim Mamish. Apparently, when it says the second one Bein Arbaim, means literally in the afternoon. Why? Ema, we can still say Chad Babayka. One is in the morning. Idach, the second one, anytime throughout the day, morning to night. Kuli Yoma. No, you can't say that. Echad Babayka. The Pasuk says one is in the morning. Apparently, only one. V'lo Shnayim, not two. Second one inevitably is in the afternoon only. What about the nearest of the menorah? The Chsiv says Bein Arbaim. Hachanami, there too we're going to say Kula Yom, the Kula Yom Kasha you can do it throughout the day, anytime. Shani also note there is different. The Chsiv Pasuk says Me'erev ad Baikar. It's meant to burn from evening till morning. Tanya we learned in the Brisa. That's how you set it up. Me'erev ad Baikar means Tein Lavidasa, supply enough oil to last throughout the night. To last from evening to morning. There was another application to the pasuk, there's no other form of service in the Beis Hamikdash which can be done at night, except for the menorah. So there it's an exception. Although it says Bein Arbaim, the Torah clarifies it's limited to nighttime. What about the Torah? It's burning the incense. There as well it says Bein Arbaim. There too you're going to say anytime throughout the day the Kula Yoima Kasha? No, it says the Moshanik Teres. Teres is different. The Iskash Laneir, so we have a pasuk that compares. Right at the beginning of Baloischa it says Bahalois, Arnes, Haneres, Yak Tirena. Actually, it's in Shmois Lamed. So, Teres has the same time frame as the Neiros, only throughout the night. Well, says the Gemara Samnami. Take a look at the Korban Pesach again. It says, Ksiv Sham Tizbach as a Pesach Be'erev. The Pesach is meant to be brought evening time. So apparently that undoes our understanding of Bein Arbaim. It's not throughout the day, it's only the afternoon. Says the Gemara. That's coming to teach us another point. Hahu. That lashon of erev related to Korban Pesach is coming to tell you. Suppose he waited till the afternoon. He could have done it in the morning, but suppose he waited. It's already afternoon time. Now you have a choice before you. Should we approach the Korban Talmud, the afternoon Talmud first, or first the Korban Pesach? The Korban Talmud comes first, based on this pasuk. Liyuchar is coming to tell you that it's meant to be delayed. Liyuchar davar, delay the Korban Pesach. Huda asa, that's what it's coming for. The Sanya, as we looked in the Brisa, Yuchar davar. We have to delay the Korban Pesach past the Talmud. Shnever by Be'erev u Bein Arbaim, because by the Pesach it has Be'erev and Bein Arbaim denoting lateness, and that comes after L'davar the Talmud Bein Arbaim, where it doesn't give us that type of delay language. Shnever by Ela Bein Arbaim Bilvad. In contrast to the Pesach where it says Erev and Bein Arbaim, the Talmud only has Bein Arbaim, so it tells us that the Pesach comes after. But theoretically, the Korban Pesach can be brought from the morning. But once you waited too late till the afternoon, now you have to do the Talmud first. Ask the Gemara, how do you explain that? I mean, he's meant to come first. How could suddenly the Talmud leapfrog and come before him? Do you have a situation, a comparable situation? How could you have a situation where if you would do it in the morning, great. Amris, you tell me Zimnu, it's the right time. Just because he waited till the afternoon, now he has to wait until after the Talmud. Amris, you tell me Yuchad Dover, he gets delayed after the Talmud. And yeah, we do find it regarding tefillas on a day that you do Musaf, right? Suppose he waited with his Musaf, and now it's afternoon, it's time for Mincha. Which one comes first? Do we say the Musaf because it was activated first? Or do we say no? Put the Musaf aside, daven Mincha, because Mincha now takes priority. It's a time for Mincha. And then come back later and do Musaf. And that's the answer. That's what you do. Likewise over here. Once you waited till Talmud kicked in, you do Talmud first and then the Pesach. In the Rabbi Yechon tells us halacha is, if you're faced with two tefillas, Musaf and Mincha, Mispal shel Mincha, first you do Mincha, Chakach Mispal shel Musaf, and then you do Musaf to catch up for that. Ask Gemara, hold it. So, we explained that, according to this opinion, Rav Yeshe's interpretation of B'Meseira, the Zman of Korban Pesach starts from morning. But that doesn't apply by Ketores, by Dineris, despite the Torah is saying the words Bein Arbayim, because we have ways to understand and to reinterpret that term to allude only to nighttime. So why did the Pasuk, in fact, use the word Bein Arbayim by Ketores and Neris if it's not going to be implemented literally? Uben Arbayim, the words Ben Arbayim, Dechsiv Gavik Ketores, which is said by the Ketores, Veneris and by the Neris. Lomali, what's the point? If in any ways you're not going to do it until nighttime. A further question, V'oid. Heishiv Rebbe Tachas Ben Meseira. Rebbe took Ben Meseira's position, sort of defended Ben Meseira, and responded on his behalf. L'div Rabbi Shua to Rabbi Shua, who says that if you do the Shechita on the Korban Pesach in the morning, it's as though it was a day earlier. Law, you can't compare the 13th day of Nisan to the 14th. Im Amras B'Shleisha Asra, how could you compare to the 13th day? She'ein Miktsasei Roy, because even part of that day is not suitable for Korban Pesach. It's totally out of the realm of Korban Pesach. So certainly on that day, you can understand that the Korban is still considered a shlamim, as opposed to the 14th day in the morning. Toimer bar ba'asa, how can you compare it to the 14th day? So although it's still a bit early, but just by a couple of hours, Shemiktsasei, part of that day will be suitable, so it's ready within striking range. So you can't compare the two. So again, if it was Pesach in the morning, Shlei L'Shmoi, Reb Shua says, it's still early in the game, it's a shlamim right now. It's like the 13th day, so Shlei L'Shmoi is kosher. No, says Rebbe, in support of Meseira. You can't say it's out of the Zman of Pesach, it's already the day of. The Misa now, according to Rabbi Yeshe's interpretation, according to Meseira, 14th day of Nisan is the Zman of Pesach. He should have said it directly like that. Instead of saying, oh, within striking range, it's close enough to the afternoon, Kulei Rayu, the whole day is Roy for Pesach. So of course, if it's Shlei L'Shmoi, it's possible. So clearly, Rebbe did not understand the Meseira like Rabbi Yeshua did. Clearly, according to this interpretation, when he's supposed to shech the Korban Pesach only in the afternoon. Not like Rabbi Yeshua, that it's kosher throughout the whole day. Ella, okay, we'll say tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem. Rabbi Yechon will disagree. He'll say that you're right, according to Meseira, the Zman is only in the afternoon, because Ben Arbayim means the afternoon. But the morning is close enough. You cannot consider it a shlamim. It's not really Shlei B'Zmanai, and therefore, if it's not Shlei L'Shma, it's like a Pesach Shlei L'Shma, and it's possible. Okay, so let's recap this last piece. A Pesach, in its time, Shlei L'Shma is possible. But otherwise, throughout the year, it reverts to a shlamim. Shlamim, Shlei L'Shma is kosher. Example, on the 13th day of Nisan, it's kosher. What about the 14th day in the morning? Rabbi Shua says it's still like a shlamim, it's kosher. The Meseira says it's close enough to the Zman Pesach. We treat it like a Pesach. It's already the day of the Hakravas HaPesach, so you can't consider it a shlamim. It's a Pesach Shlei L'Shma, which is possible. Rabbi Yeshua learned that according to the Meseira, the Zman of Pesach actually starts in the morning. But Rebbe and Rabbi Yechon will disagree. It's not really the Zman of Pesach, technically, but since it's the day of, it's close enough, in which case it's already considered potentially the Zman of Pesach, has aspects of the Zman of Pesach, in which case you cannot consider it a Shlam, and therefore it's a Pesach or a Shema, which is Pas. All the best to you and Hatzlacha.